Salaki, shalom, 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 family. Right, shalom, Israel. It's Brother Nasi tapping in, right, with the Akim, right, in full effect through the Spirit. First, we want to give all praise and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, the righteous, who the world calls Christ, or Jesus. Right, we understand that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and the Native American Indians of Negro descent, right, are the biblical Hebrew Israelites according to the Scriptures. Right, and this is a part two of the breakdown, right, dealing with is regeneration in the Bible, right? And we pray, Lord willing, if you don't have this understanding, after this video, you can probably go back, Lord willing, and look at the part one of this breakdown so that you can be further edified. But I got the rest of the brews on the panel, so I'm gonna yield. I'm gonna go ahead and let them come on with their introduction. Go ahead, Kings.
Khan, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah. Giving all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh Bahashem, wa Malachi, Yahweh Shah. Right, double honors to the elders of the house of David, and mighty shalom to the saints scattered abroad throughout the four corners. With Shamariah,
Israel,
and like the brother was just bringing out, this is going to be part two of the regeneration breakdown. Right, we're gonna get right into it. We're not gonna tarry. We're gonna make haste. Right. And hopefully y'all caught the first video. If you haven't, like the brother said, you can go back and check it out, get up to speed with this video, but we're gonna get right into it. We got a mighty lesson in store. So if brother, you got something else?
Like, share, and subscribe when you come in the building, Bob Shaw.
Like, share, subscribe. You new to the channel, like, share, and subscribe. You're old to the channel, like, share, and subscribe, man. We trying to push this gospel throughout the four corners, right? So with that being said, we're gonna open up to 1 John chapter 1, verse 1. 1 John chapter 1, verse 1.
This is the book of 1 John, chapter 1.
Again, the topic is regeneration in the Bible. Regeneration is regeneration in the Bible. Again, we have 1 John chapter 1, verse 1. 1 John chapter 1, verse 1.
And it reads thus: that which was from the beginning, which we have heard, which we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked upon, and our hands have handled of the word of life.
See, again, even if you go to John 1:1, it'll tell you how in the beginning was the word, and the word was power, and the word was with power, right? So we know that that word is referencing Yahweh Shai HaMashiach the righteous. Even in this verse is referencing Yahweh Shai, right? So that word that was from the beginning, they said they've seen it and they've handled it with their own, seen it with their own eyes and handled it with their own hands, right? So that's just giving a reference of even from the beginning, Yahweh Shai was back on the scene during the time of the apostles, right? Let's keep it moving to the next precept. It's going to be John chapter 10, verse 27. John chapter 10 and verse 27.
This is the book of John, chapter 10 and verse 27.
Let's start at 24.
This book of John, chapter 10 and verse 24.
Read through 29.
John 10 and verse 24. Reading through 29. And it reads thus: then came the Jews round about him and said unto him, how long doest thou make us?
Salaki, I was in chapter 9. That's my bad.
Let me get straight to it. 27. I'm gonna start back at 24. We still good.
Okay.
Right. This is John 10 and 24. Then came the Jews.
22. All right.
Come. This is John 10 and verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication, and it was winter.
So again, this is setting the scene. This was in Jerusalem at the feast of dedication, because we know, according to that the Jews would tarry back for the holy days to Jerusalem, right? They would travel back to the city of David, and to Jerusalem, the homeland, to keep certain feast days. And this was at the winter time, right? So go ahead, King.
Verse 23. And Yahushua walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him and said unto him, how long doest thou make us to doubt?
Mm.
If thou be the Messiah, Hamashiach, tell us plainly.
Right. Go ahead.
Yahushua answered them, I told you, and ye believe not.
Mm-hmm.
The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me.
Right.
But ye believe not,
Mm-hmm.
because ye are not of my sheep, as I
Right.
said unto you. My sheep hear my voice,
They
and
what?
I know my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me.
Mm.
Here's the meat right here. And I give unto them eternal life,
Mm-hmm.
and they shall never perish,
Mm-hmm.
neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand.
Now, is this saying that they won't experience a physical death in the flesh or in the body? No, it's saying spiritually they shall never be done away with. They should never be killed or cast away spiritually, right? And no one can pluck them out of Yahweh's the righteous hand. They're going to be with him and reign with him when his kingdom is brought to earth.
Con,
Salaki King, you can expound if you have some more.
con. And what we're saying is not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but in the beginning, when you're dealing with Genesis, the Most High, when He created the heavens and the earth in the 6 days, and when He created man, right? He created a certain amount of spirits, right? And these spirits is they're not to perish, right? And He's not going to create new spirits, right? When whatever He has done already in the beginning, He's not going to do it over again, right?
That's right.
So it's a quick precept to kind of expound on the and He says too as well, it's not His will that any should perish, but all should come to repentance, right? This is Matthew 10 and verse 28. Quick precept. It says, and fear not them which kill the body. Why is He saying that? He's saying, don't worry about that. That's a vessel. They can kill that body, right? Reading on. But are not able to kill the soul. They're not able to kill your soul because, as we just read in John 10 and 24 on down, that the life who is in the hands of Yahweh Shah Hamashiach, the righteous, is eternal, right? So those spirits don't die, they're regenerated. So
Kind.
I'm gonna yield with that point. I'm gonna
I got a
hand it back
point.
to you, bro.
I got a precept to land me back on that point. All right, that's a beautiful point you just made. Let me see. This is just a second. One second. What you look for? I got it.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna read that again. Matthew 10 and 28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
Kind.
Right.
This is you got it too, Kane. This is Second Maccabees, chapter 6. I'm gonna start at verse 30. It says, but when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being
Mm-hmm.
beaten,
Mm-hmm.
but in soul am well
Mm.
content to suffer these things because I fear him.
Right. So if I'm not mistaken, this is the account of the seven sons, correct? With the mother,
Yes. Okay.
right? And so these sons have suffered affliction solely because the king at the time was trying to get them to go off by eating swine's flesh and defiling themselves, and they still bold. They stood 10 toes down in the face of adversity, and as it's saying here in verse 30, he was ready to die because he had that understanding what we just brought out in Matthew 10 and 38, 10 and 28. That's what it was. Matthew 10 and 28,
Okay.
right? But when he had that understanding that nothing that the man can do to you will change or dictate what happens with your soul or your spirit in this case. And he says right here, it says, in body by being beaten, but In soul, I am well content to suffer these things because I fear him. Right. So you got to understand that again, this we're dealing with regeneration. And this brother knew that if he was to die today, that he would return to the Father. Right. And that's gotta be your understanding. Right.
Okay, I got
But
another precept in the same story. Just let me back in on your point, right?
uh-huh,
This is chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 20. It says, "But the mother was marvelous above all and worthy of honorable memory. For when she saw her 7 sons slain with the space of one day, she
uh-huh.
bare it with a good courage
Right. This
because of
mother's
the
also
hope,
go ahead, Slacky, go ahead, King.
that she had in Yahweh." Go ahead.
Right. So this mother had just witnessed her sons being slain. Right. And she still had the hope and the understanding that no matter what happened to her sons, that the Most High will honor their works. Right. And he would see that, hey, they stood bold for the truth and they didn't waver. Right. And so you got to ask yourself, when you do return to the Father, what side of the spectrum are you going to return to him in righteousness, or are you going to return to him defiled? Right.
Time.
I yield.
Yea, she exhorted every one of them in her own language, filled with courageous spirits, and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach, she said unto them, I cannot tell how ye came into my womb, for I neither gave you breath nor life, neither was it I that formed the members of every one of you, but doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generations of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again.
Mm,
Now regard not your own selves for his law's sake.
okay. All right, that's a good
See that?
precept.
She literally said, "I know," and this was to further prove the point that our people were aware and were in the understanding of regeneration, because she said that the Creator will give you breath and life again,
Mhm.
right? Because she know the cycle of regeneration within our people. It was a common thing. It was a history and heritage and understanding that was stripped from us in today's time, but during the time of the scriptures, our people were well aware of it, right?
Um, if I could just touch and say one thing, YOLO, right? Because this is what the concept that our people live by now,
Hmm.
right? Instead of having an understanding of regeneration, they would have to they have been led to believe that you only live once,
So
and
they try to
so
squeeze as much wickedness as they can into this one life that they have, that they
right,
that they that they believe that they have.
con. Next precept, we're gonna keep it rolling through the spirit,
Hey,
right?
finish
Good
out
precept.
the John 10 and 27. I think you can stop at 30.
Okay, this is back in John 10 and verse 24. Then came the Jews round about him and said, How long doest thou make us to doubt? If thou be the Christ, tell us plainly. Yahweh answered them, I told you, and ye believe not. The works that I have, I do in my Father's name. They bear witness of me. But ye believe not, because ye are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I
Hmm.
give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand.
Hmm.
My Father, which gave them me, is greater than all, and
Hmm.
no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one.
Cons, that's not saying that they're the same entity. It said they're on one accord, right?
That's right.
So keeping it moving, I got the next precept is going to be Second Esdras 14, and I'll start at 34. Second Esdras 14, and I'll start at 34. And it reads, Therefore, if so be that ye will subdue your own understanding
Mm-hmm.
and reform your hearts, ye shall be kept alive. And after death, ye shall obtain mercy.
Right.
Now,
So what this is
okay, go ahead. Because I go
what
ahead.
this is saying, it's saying subdue your own understanding. You got to bring whatever you think that you know about life in and of itself, the creation, the creator. You gotta subdue that thought. Throw
That's
it
right.
away. right? And then, Lord willing, you can be reformed, as it says in Romans 12, be renewed by the spirit of your mind. You have to reform your hearts, which is your mind. Then it says, ye shall be kept alive after death, right? And ye shall obtain mercy, right? Because that mercy is going to be given to, is the gift to the Israelites on behalf of the Father. But you have to be doing something to obtain that mercy. I yield with that. That's so far.
For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again.
Hmm.
And then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared.
Come on, you got it out.
It's just telling you plainly, right? After we pass from this physical specimen that we are housed in, on the spirit realm, where we receive judgment for the works of that fleshly vessel that was just laid to rest. And then you get to live again, based on when the Most High wants to send you back, or what works He may have in store for you, and the judgment that you may receive as well. So, based on all those things, the Most High will send you back to the earthly plane to carry out another order. But we will get to live again. Now, we don't know specifically the covenant of the grave and how it goes, but based upon the precept, we know that we do come back. We do have another opportunity to come back and do it right, right? Or
If you
repeat certain other practices or works that the Most High may have in store for us. With that, I yield. Go ahead.
kind of if you can walk with us here, right? A lot of us, some of us are movie heads, some much more than others, right? But when we dealing with the movie Matrix,
Mm-hmm.
right, and how Neo was in an earthen vessel, right, but in that same vessel, he had a life, a former life that was in the earth, right? But it took him to get the breath of life, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to be born again. That was him being regenerated, right, and having a new understanding. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
has to happen with Jake. That's what has to happen with Israel right now in the flesh. Before, you're just an earthy vessel going about living according to the ways of the world. But until you get this word, that's when you are now regenerated and being born again. That's the Most High putting the Spirit back in you,
That's right.
right? And I just got one quick precept in Ephesians. No, I'm sorry. First Corinthians 15 and 47. First Corinthians 15 and 47, right? And this should give you, uh bring it full circle, right? You remember when Neo woke up and he was in that little test tube thing, right? He had that thing in his mouth and he pulled it out, right? Now he's operating on a new spectrum. He's in the spirit now, right? This is First Corinthians 15 and verse 47. The first man is of the earth, earthy, and the second man is of the Lord from heaven. So until you get that, until you put away or subdue and reform, as it says in Second Ezra 14 and 35, until you subdue that old man, you will
Mm-hmm.
not be of the second man, which is
That's
from
right.
the Father. I yield.
I got a Lammy back precept. This is Colossians chapter 3 and verse 3. Colossians 3 and verse 3. And it reads, For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in Yahweh. When
Con, no,
Christ
I'm just saying, Con. Go ahead, King.
when Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in his glory. Now that's a double fold precept, right? Because when you're talking about when Hamashiach returns and those that are his sheep that heard his voice, we will get to reign with him in his glory. But prior to that, our former life before we had came into the truth and knowledge of this understanding is now hid in Christ, or those blemishes are wiped out. And now we get to appear in his glory with him, walking circumspect, keeping the laws, walking with Hamashiach in the spirit, right? With that spiritual crown of righteousness right now, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's a double fold precept that I wanted to allude to, like the brother was bringing out in the matrix. Even with on this spectrum, on this side, we still can walk with and for Hamashiach through the spirit, right?
Con, Con. We're gonna
Yeah,
keep it moving. No, no, no. We're gonna keep it moving.
Con.
Good way to expound. Next
Next
precept.
precept is going to be Matthew 16 and verse 13. Matthew
This is the book,
16 and verse 13.
this is
I'm
the
gonna
book of
start at
Matthew.
I'm gonna start
I
at
got you.
go ahead. Yeah, start at 11.
Con. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 16 and verse 11. How is it that ye do not understand that I spake it not to you concerning bread,
Mm-hmm.
that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees?
Right.
Because he gave him a parable earlier. He was talking about bread, right? And you can be so one track minded by not subduing
Let's
your
get it.
thoughts. You just
Start at 6. Start at 6.
start at 6. Okay, cool,
All
cool.
right.
This is Matthew 16 and verse 6. 16 and verse 5. And when his disciples were come to the other side, they had forgotten to take bread.
Mm-hmm.
Then Yahushua said unto them, take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. Is he talking about, hey, watch out for them brothers? They got some big bread. the loaves that they got, you don't want to mess with them bread, right? The leaven is referring to being puffed up, right, on a spiritual level.
I got a
Verse
precept.
7.
I got a precept to expound on that. This is 1 Corinthians 5 and 6. It says, "Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaveneth the whole lump? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Hamashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth." Right? So this leaven that the Most High was speaking of was the leaven of malice and wickedness of the Pharisees, right? But I'll let you go ahead, King.
Back in the book of Matthew 16, we're going to pick up at verse 7. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, it is because we have taken no bread. When Yahushua perceived, he said unto them, O ye of little faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread? Do ye not understand, neither remember the 5 loaves and the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up? How is it that ye do not understand that I spake it not to you concerning bread,
Now
that
he's
ye should
saying, bro, y'all don't remember when I fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves? Y'all don't remember when I fed 7,000 people or 4,000 people with 7 loaves? So why do y'all think that I'm talking about bread? How can y'all not understand that I'm not talking about physical bread? Go ahead, King.
Concerning bread, that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees.
Read.
Then understood they. Now they got an understanding.
Oh,
Right?
what he's talking about. Right. Go ahead.
Right. Then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of bread, but of the doctrine of the
The what?
Pharisees and the Sadducees. The doctrine of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Right? That you only live once mentality. Right? Right, verse 13. When Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, some say Elias, and others Jeremiah. Right, so he's saying Elijah, right, Jeremiah, and John the Baptist, or one of the prophets. Now we understand that the prophets were of old. So if they are, if Yahweh Shah Mashiach is asking them, who do men say that I am, and they're referencing men of the prior former, that means that he has been brought back.
That's right.
Somehow, some way, the people believe that he is back on the scene again, which would then hint regeneration.
That's right.
Right. Keeping it rolling. It says, and Simon Peter, he said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the
Mm-hmm.
Son of the living God. And
Right.
Yahushua answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven.
Keep
And
reading,
I
man.
and I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock will I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it.
Uh-huh.
And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever thou shalt loose on the earth shall be loosed in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Verse 20. Then charged he and his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ.
I would say, you can expound on that. That was
Okay, come. So what he's saying right here, this is now Peter, right? Being born again through the Spirit, and now he's got an understanding. Like now we have the now when you have an understanding, you're able to bound. You're going to be able to operate in the same power that Hamashiach is able to do. When he not tell us that you can the works that you see me do, you're going to be able to do greater works than these.
that's right.
But we have to be born again to be able to operate in the spirit and the likeness of Yahweh Shah Hamashiach. The old Lee Nasi, right, I can't possess, even though he has given me the earthen vessel to have to operate on that spectrum. I don't have the spiritual hardware, right? So but that has to be given to you from the Heavenly Father, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
not going to put that thing in an old vessel. So I'm
That's
going to
right.
yield on that point, not to get too deep.
And I got a precept for that, man. This is Matthew 19. I'm gonna start at 27. Matthew 19 and 27. And it reads, Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee.
Mm,
What shall we have therefore?
okay.
And Yahushua said unto them,
Uh-huh.
Verily I say unto you,
Okay.
that ye which have followed me
And what?
in the
It
regeneration,
says in the what?
in the regeneration,
Shall what?
when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory,
What does it say?
ye also shall sit up on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
So he's saying, like, y'all following me. Mind you, y'all didn't really cast nothing off, because I think he says when it's gonna keep reading.
Yeah, I mean,
But
go
he's
ahead.
saying though, in the regeneration, in the time to come, you're gonna be there when I'm sitting on my throne. You're gonna be sitting on 12 seats, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right with me, right? Verse 29. And everyone that had forsaken houses,
Uh-huh.
or brethren,
Okay.
or sisters,
Sister,
or father,
father.
or mother,
Okay.
or wife,
Uh-huh.
or children,
Okay.
or lands, for my name's sake,
Shall what?
shall receive 100-fold,
Okay.
and shall inherit everlasting life.
Con.
But many that are first
Shall what?
shall be last,
And what?
and the last shall be first.
So he's saying y'all gonna get this 100-fold, and the kingdom to come. Obviously, the 12 disciples, they not walking around right now thousands of years old, and they got 100-fold of this. This for a time. It's talking about a time to come. And even if you go into that word regeneration, it alludes to what the topic of this whole this class is. But even in verse 30, it says, "But many that are first shall be last."
That's right.
So, with that being said, it would have to allude to they will be here again, because how could some that's first be last? It would have to be for a time to come.
And when you think about the new kingdom, it's referencing those that are faithful to Hamashiach, right? We are last here. We are the very last, man. As a people, as believers, as those that's walking in the spirit, we get the short end of the stick in this realm, right? You know what I'm saying? But we're not working for a physical kingdom on this earth. We're storing up our treasures in heaven, because we know what the promises that has to come for those that are faithful to Hamashiach and try their best to keep the commandments to the best of their ability. So we putting our brick in, as we like to say in the congregation, for the kingdom of heaven, not for the kingdom of evil, right?
And also, you got to think, say that one person,
that was just getting trodden down, going through it in the world, and he died before his time.
Con.
He last. So how else would he have the chance to be first?
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
That's all I got on that.
That's a eloquent point, Yasha Allah, right? Going into the next precept, man, it's gonna be Malachi 4 and 5.
It's the book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 5, and it reads thus. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the
Start at
prophet.
4. Shalaki, start at 4.
Malachi 4 and 4. Remember ye the law of the Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments? Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. So this has not happened yet.
But this is it's spiritual. It happened once,
and
it's gonna happen again.
Right, because we're in the book of Malachi. We understand that Elijah comes before the book of Malachi. So Malachi is being told that, wait a minute, Elijah gonna come back? So this is in the Old Testament. If you can follow what we're trying to say. These when Yahushua HaMashiach came on the scene, they knew about the book of the prophets and the book of Malachi. They knew this precept. So they knew they was looking for Elijah too. They knew that Elijah was going to come back on the scene. So that's why when he asked them, who do people say that I am? They said, some of them say that you Elijah, because they would only have had that knowledge from the prophets. Right? Reading on. But this is verse 6. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
And that's mighty, right? Even with the Elijah coming, he came as John the Baptist, right? You know what I'm saying? Before the great day of Yahushua being the great and terrible day of him, being sacrificed. That's a great day for us to get into the kingdom, and a terrible day with the Messiah being persecuted and crucified. However, this is a double-fold precept, because that same spirit will return before the great and terrible day of the Lord, the great and terrible day of the Lord, right? And he's going to come back, and we're experiencing the fathers and the sons' hearts being turned back to each other, right? The fathers on the spiritual level, our forefathers, the children are turning back to their forefathers, the ways of the forefathers, right? We're doing that right now as the babes, as the children of the kingdom. We're turning back to the forefathers, right? And getting an understanding and fully, and as well as the elders, our elders in this walk in this truth, are turning to this younger generation too, and they are enlightening us, bringing us along, and dealing with us on a personal level, right? Again, shalom to the elders of the house of David, right? And all the elders in the community that's moving in righteousness, that are doing the works that's worthy of a double honor, shalom, right? I yield on that.
Next precept is going to be in the book of Luke, chapter 1 and verse 16. Luke, chapter 1 and verse 16, and it reads thus. And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Lord their God, just like it just said in Malachi, right? And
like
he shall
started so we'll get the context. Start at 13.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 1 and verse 13. But the angel said unto him, fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John.
Right. So again, this is John the Baptist. Like I was saying before, like this prophecy was fulfilled during the time of John the Baptist, and it's going to happen again. Right. Go ahead.
And thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of the Lord, and he shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. And he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost, even from his mother's womb.
Read.
And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Lord their God.
You see that? And many children of the children of Israel, John was able to turn them back to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Right? Go ahead.
And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias,
Mm-hmm.
to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just,
You
to
see
make
that?
ready
You see that?
a
He's gonna
people.
go in the spirit of Elijah,
Come,
compelling the people, the fathers, to come to the children, and the children to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments,
what he said.
baptizing them in the name of Hamashiach. Go ahead, King.
What he's saying to Zachariah is like, look, yeah, you gonna name him John, but he gonna be in the spirit of Elijah,
I'm
right?
gonna put
And
Elijah's. I'm gonna give him a portion of Elijah's spirit.
Con, right? And he's gonna do what I set him for to do. And that's the
That's
same
right.
thing with us, right? You might be in the vessel of whatever your government name is, but I'm gonna give you a spirit of your forefathers so that you can now be commissioned to do what I've sent you for to do,
That's
right?
right.
So you can't just think about yourself or who you are now. That's why you have to die to that old person so that you can do just like Yahweh Shai said, I do the will of my Father, right?
That's
I
right.
yield with that point, getting back
Look
to
at that,
verse
17.
17.
Come.
And he shall go before him in the spirit and the power of Elias to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just and make ready a people prepared for the Lord. Right. Verse we can yield right there.
Get on that.
Matthew chapter 11. We're gonna keep it rolling. Right. We prayed it. If you just chiming in on the channel, like, share, and subscribe. We're dealing with regeneration. Is it in the Bible? Right. It's Matthew 11 and 12. Let me see.
I got it. This is the book of
Come.
Matthew, chapter 11 and verse 12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence. What is that talking about? Is it talking about the actual place of Jerusalem suffering violence? No, it's talking about the people. The people. We are the kingdom of heaven, and we are
Uh,
suffering violence, right? And the violent take it by force, right? We've been taken by force, right? For all the prophets and the law prophesied unto John. And if ye will receive it, this is Elijah, which was for to come. He that had ears to hear, let him hear. Right? If you can receive it, if you can understand it, right? This John the Baptist came in the spirit of Elijah. He had a portion of Elijah's spirit, right? We pray that was edifying and that you're able to receive that. We're going to keep it pushing. Matthew 17 and verse 10. Matthew 17 and verse 10.
right. And if while we pulling that precept, just want to speak on something. But if you're dealing with that story in Elijah, you have to understand who Elias was too. Uh, and he was a protege of Elijah, right? He
No,
was his
Elias was Elisha. Elias is Elijah.
Elisha, Salakia,
Elisha.
Elijah and Elisha, the water, right? Elijah was the predecessor of Elisha, right? And Elisha followed in the footsteps of Elijah.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah had his own spirit, Elisha had his own spirit. But Elijah told him that, hey, I'm about to yield. I'm going to give this thing up. I'm going to go return to the Father. And what did Elisha say? He said, hey, if I can just get a portion of your spirit to be able to do what you can be able to do, hey, that'll be well with me. And the Most High granted that. So he was able, even in that time,
Double
Elijah,
portion.
a double portion, he was able to receive Elijah's spirit, a double portion of that spirit, right? So I yield with that point. We can get to the next precept.
It says Matthew 17 and 10. Matthew 17 and 10. And it reads, and his disciples asked him, saying, why then say the scribes that Elijah must first come? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elijah is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Go ahead, I give you expound on that.
He said Elijah already came. Y'all looking for him, y'all done missed him.
Mm-hmm.
That was John.
But watch this.
John the Baptist. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist.
Con. Right. And you got to understand too, like even with yourself,
That's plain, man. It's plain. It's plain. Plain up on tables, and my brew like to say all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Con. And that's what we dealing with Jake right now. Everybody looking for the Messiah. He done came already. You done missed. He done came in a lot of different forms. And so you will continue to miss out until you do away with that old thought and reform your mind. I yield. Next precept.
It's just Psalms 104, and I'm gonna start at 29. Psalms 104 and 29. And it reads, Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die, and return it to the dust. Thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. You see that? So you die, and then the Most High sends forth, you die and return to the dust. He takes your breath. Then the Most High sends forth that spirit again. You're created. Your face is renewed, right? Meaning your vessel. And the earth is repopulated with new physical vessels, but the same generated spirits. I pray y'all receiving this, man, because it's saying it very clearly, very plainly, right?
And even with
eyes to see and ears to hear.
And even with that new face on a spiritual level or physical level, right? When you being born again, you start operating in wisdom. The scriptures tell you that wisdom causes a man's face to shine. So when you operate, when you have that new ruach, or that you have been regenerated on a spiritual level, then people will be able to look at you and say, man, something that he don't do the things that he used to do. That's so she don't say the things. She put off that old conversation, right? The old man, right? I yield with that point though.
The next precept is Ecclesiastes 3 and 17. And I read through 21. Ecclesiastes 3 and 17 through 21. And it reads, I'm going to start at 16. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. And I said in mine heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked. For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that Yahweh might manifest them, that they might see that they themselves are beasts. For that which befalleth the sons of man befalleth beasts. Even one thing befalleth them, as the one dieth, so dieth the other.
Okay.
Yea, they have all one breath.
They have what?
All one breath.
Let's talk about their life. Keep reading.
So that a man hath no preeminence above a beast.
For what?
For all is vanity.
So he's saying we all die the same, and it's pretty much the same thing with everything.
That's right.
Everything gonna die. Okay, keep reading.
All go
Go ahead.
All go into one place.
Okay.
All are of the dust.
Okay.
And all turn to dust again.
That's plain. Keep reading.
Who knoweth the spirit of a man that goeth upward?
It goes upwards.
And the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth. Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion.
Okay.
For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? Right? And we know that's the spirit of Mashiach, or the spirit of the Most High, that's able to ascend and descend these spirits, right? The spirit of a man that goeth upward, or the spirit of a beast that goeth downward. That's all the Most High, bringing forth different lives in different forms in different vessels, right? Keeping it moving, the next precept will be Exodus 20 and 5. Exodus 20 and 5.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 5. Exodus 20 and 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Most High, thy power, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
Right.
So, and how is he going to visit us 3 and 4 generations later? How is the Most High going to make himself known? The curses,
Right.
I'm going to show you who you are, because these things still going to apply to you, and you're going to figure out why these things is happening. Right. So through the generations, I'm going to make it be known who you are. Right. And you going, as a matter of fact, not only are you going to know based off of you are your fathers. And I'm talking about your forefathers. You are the same ones that was in the wilderness. So yes, when you come back in a new vessel, you might not have remembrance of those things, but he says he does call those things to remembrance. So I'm gonna read that again. We can get to the next precept. If you got something, you can expound. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me.
Right. And if y'all didn't see the last class when I was going into would you have let Christ be crucified, when you go into the prophecy when it's dealing with Solomon, when the Most High, when he was I think he was using Nathan to speak his words unto David, he was saying, yo, this is gonna be my son, and if he commit iniquity, I'm gonna chastise him with the straps of man or whatever. And that literally didn't come to pass until Christ.
It didn't happen to Solomon. It happened to Christ.
So this is like a clear example of like this verse. Like, even though you may do something, you know, he may not charge you for that in that lifetime.
That's right.
He may wait.
And that's why we say a lot of times we paying for our ancestors. We paying for our ancestors' sin, but you might, or you paying for yours, right? It's in a different lifespan at a different time. Watch this precept. The next precept is Nehemiah 5, and I'm gonna start at 4. Nehemiah 5, and I'm gonna start at 4 and read through 5. It says, there were also that said, we have borrowed money for the king's tribute, that upon our lands and vineyards. Here go the meat. Yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, our children as their children. And lo, we bring into bondage our sons and our daughters to be servants. And some of our daughters are brought unto bondage already. Neither is it in our power to redeem them. For other men have our lands and vineyards. Right? So go ahead.
No, and that's even what us who are on the in the school of thought, if you will, or understand the scriptures as they're playing upon us today. We want our brothers and our sisters, our family members to receive this understanding, but you can't will this for them. Like the brother was saying, there might not be their time to pay for it right now. It might not be their time to get this understanding right now. So they might have to go through these hardships. Go to the dust, return back to the Father, send them back in a new vessel so that they can try to attempt to get it right that time.
That's right.
And that's what this is saying. Are you?
And it's just like how he could judge you from your past things. He could bless you from the things you did in the past.
That's right.
Like, you got to look at like all these, great men that died, but what they do, they kept the faith. You best believe they're gonna be blessed. They're gonna be rewarded from the things they did. So it's kind of like
and it might not look like what you think it look like. You know what I'm saying? Them being blessed on this side may look totally different from what you would be or deem as a blessing. They might be born into this truth and not know nothing else.
Yeah,
that's a blessing in the eyes of the Most High, right? You know what I'm saying? So
even just being born into the truth, that's a blessing. That's a blessing right there.
Next precept is going to be Lamentations. Lamentations chapter 5. I start at verse 7. Lamentations chapter 5 and verse 7. And it reads, our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities.
It says what?
Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Servants have ruled over us.
Okay.
There is none that doeth deliver us out of their hand.
And it's like, even if you're familiar with, like, the book of Chronicles or Kings, sometimes the kings would go off, and he would be like, you know what, since you repent or whatever, I'm not going to judge you right now, but your iniquities, your kids are going to have to pay for that.
That's right.
Or that's another way that it could happen, because we being judged from what our forefathers have done, but also there's another layer. You could be that forefather.
That's right.
Past life, and here you get to the third, fourth, fifth, maybe sixth generations, and you getting judged from what you did all them lives ago. So there's levels to it or whatever. It's basically however the Most High want to play it.
That's right. We get our bread, verse 9. We get our bread with the peril of our lives, because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin was black like an oven, because of the terrible famine.
Okay, I think we can get on that. That's it.
Next precept is going to be Sorak 11 and 28. Sorak 11 and 28. This is the book of Sorak, chapter 11 and verse 28.
Okay.
And it reads, let me start at 26.
Yeah, I was going.
For it is an easy thing unto the Lord in the day of death to reward a man according to his ways.
Okay.
The affliction of an hour maketh a man forget pleasure.
Because when a man being afflicted, literally, like when a man he not thinking about all the good times of his life. He not thinking about that. Why? Because he hurting.
All the blessings, all the mercy that the Most High done showed him.
He not thinking about that because he in pain. Okay. He free.
The affliction of an hour maketh a man forget pleasure. And in his end, his deeds shall be discovered.
Okay.
Judge none blessed before his death.
Okay.
For a man shall be known in his children. In his children. Right? Because the Most High, like he said, he's judging somebody upon their iniquities based upon 3 to 4 generations. Right? So, with that being said, different things that happen throughout your tree or your branch or your branch from your family, you can reap. Or I'll give you an example on a carnal level.
I was about to go get one too. Go ahead. All right.
You can inherit you can inherit your father's debt. You can inherit on a carnal level. You can inherit certain things. On the blessing side, you can inherit your father's wealth, right? You know what I'm saying? If your father has a business that goes upside down and he's named you the beneficiary or the caretaker for matters after he passes, whatever he's left, whether it be good or bad, that is now your burden to bear, right? And it's the same thing spiritually. Why? Because spirits repeat. The Most High is dealing with us. It's the same way we might not have been the physical generation that the Most High was displeased with, or we may have. Nonetheless, when the Most High judges, he judges by nations. So whatever that nation was doing to make the Most High display his wrath, we're going to feel that for generations to come, right? And there is no unrighteousness with the Most High. So I'm led to believe that whatever generation he sent forward after that wrath that was kindled with that certain generation, those generations that follow did something in a previous generation to earn their spot in time to feel that wrath. If you can receive what I'm saying, there's no false balance with the Most High. So at some point throughout your generations or your different periods of regeneration, we as Jake, right, as Judites, right, you know, as Jacob, we've done something to be under the curses at this present time right now, right? You know what I'm saying? and to be in this portion of trying to awaken our people, right? It's a generation that was during the time of Solomon, all they knew was peace.
Yeah.
Right? When Solomon ruled, it was peaceful. It was a peaceful rule or reign, right? You know what I'm saying? During the time of King David, it was a lot of wars, right? You know what I'm saying? So whatever lot or time
And that
frame,
was his judgment too, right?
good,
Because when he went off one time, he was like on a war for this period of time.
good.
Yeah.
But the people that are among that time, you've done something without your generations to be placed in that position of time. It could literally be the Most High, the brothers that are here in the spirit. The Most High have a mighty works for us to do at this time. Or, yeah, y'all got work for you to do, but you're gonna come have to do it in the last captivity, because in the previous lifespan, you wasn't ready, and you was going off, and you was defiling, and you was, even though you might have been in the spirit of righteousness and moving in righteousness, you fell short in certain areas, and now you got to come try to, what I'm saying? It says in Isaiah 55:8, our understanding is not of the Most High's, right? I'm paraphrasing. Either our thoughts is thoughts, or our ways is ways. But
Con.
for us to be in a certain lot to be in is perfection, and the Most High has put those in those different positions on those time period with perfect precision, right, for us to fulfill the lot that He has for us. With that, I yield.
Con. If you can walk with me here, family, right? When we go to, I'm gonna bring this precept in Numbers 1 and 18 real quick, because this is a basic precept that we use to kind of expound on the carnal level who we are, right? Because it comes a point in time when you're finding out that you're an Israelite, right? But we understand on the surface, beneath the surface, we are who our Father is, right? And that's what
Right.
this is expounding on, right? Right. Watch this. Numbers 1 and 18. It says, "And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the numbers and the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls." Now, if you can follow what we putting down here, the word is pedigrees, right? That's on the carnal, or that's on the flesh. So that's this saying that you have a title or a banner that you're a tribe that you're underneath according to your father, right? So that's what allows you to get into this thing. Now, when you're dealing with seed line specimen, right? You understand that you are your father. There's certain attributes that when you're born, you're gonna resemble who your father is. So if you think that the Most High can make it so that we can, on a physical level, reap what our what our father looks like, right, and put it on us, for sure He can do that on a spiritual note. So just as your father is able to pass His eyes down to you, his beard, or your or your ears, or your skin tone, He can also pass the same thing, which is spiritual. He can pass that through that same seed line, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Are you?
I got a precept from the Kada Scribe, right? It says Luke 6 and 22 through 23. Luke 6 and 22 through 23. I think the meat is at the end of 23. It says, "Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice ye in that day, and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. For in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets." You see that? So the same perpetual lot that the wicked are in. This is another precept said the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, right? So the same persecution that you may have felt in a previous generation of life is the same thing that you may feel in this life. So when you moving in righteousness, man, don't count it all joy, as it says. And what is that? As John or James,
Con James, kind of
right? You know what I'm saying? And know and understand that the Most High has a certain lot for his anointed that will never stray, right? But that doesn't mean that His prophets have not erred in different ways. So different time frame that they chose to come, or with the or precisely chosen by the Most High Yahweh Shai based upon their works, right? Moving into the next precept. That's a good precept, Nakai. It's going to be Numbers 24 and 16. Numbers 24 and 16.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 24 and verse 16.
Read through 17.
He had said, which heard the words of the Most High and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty fallen into a trance, but having his eyes open, I shall see him, but not know. I
Say that
shall
again.
behold him.
Read that again.
I shall see him, but not know.
Read that again.
I shall see him, but not know.
But not now.
Oh, Salakia, now, Salakia.
I shall see him, but not now. Right? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I shall behold him, but not nigh.
But not now.
There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth.
And read 18. You got to get
and
that. Read
Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly.
Right. Go ahead.
Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city.
And we know that star is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? Yahweh Shai the righteous, right? And this is prophecy or foretelling of Yahweh Shai's coming and his reign and dominion over the heathen, right? So with that being said, we're gonna move on to the next precept, and that's gonna be Revelations 10 and 9. It says, I shall see him, but not now. Let's go to Revelation 10 and verse 9. And that within itself is, you know what I'm saying? I shall see him, but not now. So when you gonna see him in your next life, right? This is Revelation chapter 10 and verse 9. And it reads, and I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, and it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. And he said unto me, thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. Any one of y'all can expound.
It's pretty plain, but I explained it though. You know, he's saying you're gonna have to prophesy before many people and many kings again. So is this person, is John, right?
John the Revelator.
Is John thousands of years old right now on earth doing this? No, there's no man named John that's thousands of years old that's walking around prophesying right now. Maybe in the spirit, but not physically. He's saying you're gonna have to do this again. This will obviously have to be talking about what? Regeneration.
Hey, I got two precepts to let me back on that point. The first one is 1 Corinthians 14 and 32. 1 Corinthians 14 and 32. A second. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 32. And it reads, I'm going to start at 31. I'm going to start at 29. And it says, let the prophets speak 2 or 3, and let the other judge. If anything be revealed to another that sitteth by, let the first hold his peace. For ye may all prophesy one by one, that all may learn and all may be comforted. Right? It's kind of describing how we go about teaching. Right? We sit amongst our side in these classes, and we pass the floor, each one giving a sense and everybody getting the understanding, learning as we teach, right? Verse 32. And the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, right? So those same spirits that rested upon the prophets rest upon the prophets in today's time and every generation, right?
Also even the persecution,
Con,
right?
right.
Everything that comes with being a prophet, we are going to have to do those things again, right?
I got one more. Let me find it. Hold on.
And you know what? And that's what. And Jake get upset because he got to tell somebody something again, right? Because they don't get it, right? That the prophets have to. That's the prophets have to go through it, brother. Right. So you got to
Con,
do this. You gotta suffer them.
con. This is
Right.
Revelations chapter 22. I'm going to start at verse 7. It says, Behold, I come quickly. Blessed is he that keepeth the sayings of the prophecies of this book. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which shewed me these things. Then said he unto me, See thou do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the saying of this book, worship Yahweh. So even the angel that came and gave John these visions and showed him many things, he said, I am of thy servants, thy brethren, the prophet. So this was the spirit of a prophet that John the Revelator was actually dealing with and seeing, right? So that same spirit had another work to do in the kingdom of heaven or for the kingdom of heaven, right? So with that, we're going to go into the next precept. It's going to be Daniel 12 and 13. Daniel 12 and 13. You can grab that if you can, Nazi Baba Kasha.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12. Daniel, chapter 12.
Con,
And
I'm
verse
there.
13.
Daniel chapter 12 and verse 13. It says, But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days.
At what?
At the end of the days.
See that? He said, Go thy way to the end be, and you're going to rest and stand in your lot. The same lot. He didn't say a new lot. He just said you're going to stand in this lot. You're going to stand in your lot, the same lot that you've always been a part of since the beginning of the foundations of the earth, the beginning of creation. These same spirits of men have a certain lot, and they come back and fulfill that same lot through the spirit of regeneration, right?
Wouldn't it be a beautiful thing while you get to the next precept? Lord willing, right? We get to the kingdom, right? And the Most High Yahweh got he got a projection, right? And he's he's displaying. He's got a whole movie reel who Shamariah was, right? It's like and I don't know if you guys seen Eternals, right? But that's a good movie to kind of bring that full circle. It shows on how these Eternals were immortal, but they were able to see. The movie displayed in centuries how they lived in former lives during these different ages, right? The ancient age, the stone age, the dark age, right? So you can only imagine it. Kind of Babylon. It even went through the kind of on a scriptural level, but imagine a father rewinding the tape back, if you will, before you right now in this vessel, and you're able to see, like, dang, I was doing that. Okay, I missed it right then. Then he bombed me, and then I was that, and then and that's what the theme of the Bible is, or dealing with regeneration. Right.
And that's
Yeah.
mighty that you said that, because like the scripture says, we have no knowledge of former things.
Mm-hmm.
So as we sitting here in this spirit realm watching these films, who we even think that we are?
Mm-hmm.
You won't think that you Nasi. I won't think that I'm Shamariah. But
Correct.
you'll be able to see throughout these different lifespans what your spirit was actually doing and the works that the Most High had you fulfilling at these different times, right?
Correct.
That's mighty point, King, and a good analogy, right?
Correct.
This is the next precept is Job 19. We're gonna start at 25. Job 19 and 25.
It's the book of Job, chapter 19, and verse 25.
Read through 27.
And it reads thus: For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day
Mm-hmm.
upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body,
Mm-hmm.
yet in my flesh shall I see the Most High,
You see that?
whom I see.
Hold on. You see that? He said, after my skin worms destroy this body, after I give up this body, yet in my flesh I will still see Yahweh. Right? Why? Because we know that we come back and get new bodies. These spirits are recycled and they come back and get new vessels. Go ahead, King. Finish that out.
Verse 27, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold, and not another.
Mm-hmm.
Though my reins be consumed within me, but ye
Right?
should say, why persecute we him, seeing the root of the matter is found in me? In closing, be ye afraid of the sword, for wrath bringeth the punishment of the sword, that ye may know that there is judgment.
You see that? But verse 27, it says, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold, and another, though my reins be consumed, though our vessels be consumed, though this body goes back to the earth or back to the dust, I'm still going to get to see it with my own eyes for myself through the spirit of regeneration, right? Last precept of the day, we pray it was edifying, Bible Kashaf, for everybody that tapped in, that endured with us, right? We pray that you got a better understanding of regeneration based on what the Bible says, right? And that you can, receive this and try and, view it differently moving forward, right? This is Job chapter 10 and verse 21. Job 10 and 21. And it reads, before I go whence, I shall not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death, and a land of darkness as darkness itself, and of the shadow of death without any order, and where the light is as darkness, right? So we know that once we leave this body, you will not return. I will not return to the earth as Shamariah, right? Israel will not return to the earth as Israel. Neither did we return to in this generation as who we were before. We have no knowledge of those things, right? And anybody that's saying that, oh yeah, I was, this prophet, or I was you gotta show me that in prophecy. You gotta show me that in the precepts. We know that the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, but we don't know what prophet we are. And don't think that it wasn't other prophets outside of the prophets that are spoken of in the Bible. There's a lot of different prophets.
There's thousands of
There are
prophets.
thousands of prophets, bro. So we don't know particularly which one that we are. Everybody want to choose the most famous prophets, but there were mighty prophets doing mighty works that weren't recorded in this scroll, but they were recorded by the angels of heaven, right?
Kind. If I could just expound on that too in closing, right? The scriptures tell you in 2 Corinthians 5 and 8, it says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, right? And so, in saying that, even in these earthen vessels, we have to be able to separate the spirit from the flesh, so that we can still be operating in the spectrum of the Father. And I use this analogy just dealing with like a manufacturer, right? The Most High is a manufacturer. When you have a malfunction, if you will, and that malfunction is iniquity, is sin. So in order for that manufacturer to fix that sin, he has to have a recall on that thing. And that recall is the regeneration. That recall is him requesting you to bring that thing back to me. Let me wipe it clean, upload the new programming, which is the law, statutes, and commandments, and then put you back into the vehicle, which is the flesh, the earthen man, and allow you to now operate on his spectrum in this earthen vessel, right? So if that's, I'm just trying to paint a picture so that you can get the better understanding of regeneration and the analogy of how the Father operates, right? I'm gonna yield with that point.
Con. Our praises. Hey, again, we pray that this class was edifying. You know, we give our honor and glory and praise to Yahweh by Shem Malaki Hawashai. Double elders to the double honors to the elders of the house of David that's been putting in his work for generations and decades before us, leading the way and showing us how to move in righteousness. Mighty shalom to all the 12 tribes, the saints scattered abroad throughout the four corners. Brother Shamariah.
Brother Israel.
Come, Brother Nasi.
Hey, we are SUC. Until the next time, we say shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam
Kwam
Yashala.
Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yashala.
Shalom, family.